right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Bob Vigneau, and I am the project manager for SparkAlpha. And I want to go over a couple of rules for today. Each group that you'll see will speak for about 4 minutes, followed by panelist questions. And for the sake of time, depending where we are, I may need to cut into question asking to move things along to make sure that everyone gets equal time. I want to say a special thanks to the superintendent of schools, Dr. Joel Boyd, thank you for coming today, and head of school, Michael Fiato from the high school, Phil Sisson, president of MCC, Judy Hogan, dean of the business school, and Kate Sweeney, dean of STEM. Thank you so much for agreeing to be panelists. I want to give additional thanks to Megan Pederson, who is the high school teacher. I took over her class. She let me take over everything, which is great. I was a former high school teacher, so it was a treat for me to get back into the classroom and get a chance to do what I loved doing for so many years. Ellen Grondine, Sothi Gyakpo, and Josh Felch for all of their support these last several weeks. I couldn't have done this without their support, so I really appreciate the help. And finally, Peter Cronin and Yi Qian, who were our Mycronic industry partner. They are unable to make it today, but they allowed us to come into their facility, tour the facility, ask questions. It was, one of the tenets of this program is getting students into a real life experience, seeing what working in a manufacturing facility like this would be like. We couldn't have asked for a better industry partner. Usually I would be introducing Kevin McCumber, who is the executive director, to come up next to speak, but unfortunately he had a family emergency and is unable to make it. So he did send along a written statement. I will read to you. I just have to unlock my phone. He sent it about 5 minutes ago. All right, so when you get involved with SparkAlpha, you get exposed to a term that most people have never heard of. That term is integrated photonics. Don't worry, I'm not going to explain it in any depth. I'm not going to explain it in any depth. Just know that integrated photonics is a cutting-edge nanotechnology with applications in areas as diverse as self-driving cars, satellite communications, and biomedicine. It is our goal with SparkAlpha to get students, teachers, parents, everyone interested in and excited about the opportunities in integrated photonics and advanced manufacturing in general. And then let students use their imaginations to conceptualize new and innovative applications of integrated photonics. I'm happy to say that Mrs. Pederson's class from Lowell High School has exceeded our expectations, which is absolutely true. We couldn't have asked for a better group. So thank you to the program partners, Middlesex Community College, Lowell High School, and Mycronic, to the parents, and most of all the students, for your fantastic attitudes and work ethic. I'm sorry I can't be with you today, but I look forward to hearing all about the final pictures. So thank you. I would like to invite up to say a few words Phil Sisson, the president of Middlesex Community College.
Thank you. I'm not going to use that. It's a small room, and I'm going to take this mask off to talk to you. It is so great to see the students here today. This has probably been about a 1.5 year journey to get to this point. And I'll tell you how we got here. We have an advanced manufacturing program at the college. We've had it in our non-credit division, and we've trained literally hundreds of adults who are out of school to go into the field of advanced manufacturing. Great training program. We've also offered a credit program here at the college to begin that pathway to advanced manufacturing for students who are in high school. But when we think about manufacturing, there's a lot of people that have absolutely no idea about what that kind of career could really mean, or how much money you could make, or how exciting it could be in terms of the project-oriented nature of the hands-on work, like photonics. And I'm not going to talk to you about photonics because I can't. I have no idea what it is. Although I spent enough time with Kevin McCumber, who has really helped me understand a little better about the importance in the advanced manufacturing field. But what I will say to all of you is that this has been an experiment. It's an opportunity for us to work with a corporate partner, to work with folks who work directly in the field, who can create that kind of light the fire course that might get any of you interested in a career you had never thought. And hats off to Mrs. Beefs. any high school teacher that is willing to give up their classroom to anyone else is just okay in my book, having been a high school teacher, knowing full well that there's a couple of control issues when you're trying to deal with your class and your subject matter and what you cover. But this is such a different opportunity because what you are all going to present to us, and I'm sure you're going to knock our socks off, is something that you may have never encountered before and got learned in great and intense period of time, and hopefully it may light the fire for you to think about a career that you would have never imagined. So I'm really grateful to everyone that's been involved with this project, Bob, and to Kevin, and to the deans who have been so supportive, Ellen, for all your connections and the work that you've done to make this happen, and your team, Sophie, etc. It took us a while to get here, but we're so excited to see what you have to do. And I look forward to many, many iterations of SparkAlpha and other programs to excite young people in the future. So can't wait to see what you've done.
Thank you. Okay, next up, I'd like to invite Megan Pederson to say a few words.
Well, I would just first like to say thank you, Mr. Bob, as we have so lovingly called you in our class. And also thank you, Mr. Session, for your kind words as well. It's been really, really exciting, actually, to give up my class time to allow SparkAlpha to come in, because I don't know about my class, but I don't think I could have really done this without you guys. So I just really want to say thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for letting me be the responsible adult in the classroom. Because this is something that I have really enjoyed, love seeing the students in our class kind of work through. I've loved being off to the side and then just being the point person where they've been able to come up and just say, hey, Miss Pederson, like, what do you think about this? Or where should I start looking with this? But this has really been all of you guys, and I am so proud of you guys. And I cannot wait to see your final presentations in 1 second. And I'll pass this back off to Mr. Bob to reintroduce you guys.
Thank you so much. It's really been my pleasure working with you all. Okay, so let's get started. First up, team number 1, which is the Dazzling Water Detective.
Good evening, everyone. We are the Sparkling Beauties, and we're here to talk about our magnificent invention, the Dazzling Water Detective. So, first, we had to identify a problem, and we decided upon water because it is such an essential part of life, and everyone needs to drink water. But water can also be very visually misleading, and it can have many contaminants invisible to the naked eye in it, so we wanted a device that can detect these contaminants. While researching the problem, we found out about the American lead crisis, which in numbers, it's 21 million Americans get their water from utilities that, with health violations. More than half of all US schools do not test their taps for lead, and 7.2 million Americans get sick every year due to the consumption of unclean water. As for worldwide, we see that 2.4 billion people every year get sick due to consuming unclean water.
So, like we said before, water can be very deceiving to the naked eye as it may contain many harmful contaminants. And so this product, the Dazzling Water Detective, helps prevent the ingestion of that. And so how it'll work is that it'll be installed to your main water source or water line. And it'll detect things like bacteria and metals, and it'll be constantly like running and scanning it. So it includes E. coli, lead, and mercury.
So our product will consist of 2 photonic sensors, one for sensing bacteria and another one for sensing metals. There will also be a GPS module as well as an app that goes along with the product. It will be a very strong computing device. That way we can accurately and quickly measure the water levels for bacteria and metals. There will also be an indicator on the device itself to show the levels of contaminants or the level of purity in your water. Here's a visual representation for you guys.
Pass it around, take a look.
You can take a look
You can
inside.
open
Nice.
it.
Take a look inside if you'd like. See all the advanced technology there is in there.
Yeah, don't. That's not the fun. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. As for our target market, it's on municipal and commercial buildings since they consist of many people. Examples are schools and hospitals. And the reason why we chose municipal and commercial buildings because our product is on the expensive end, and you'll learn the reason why on the next slide. And don't worry, and as when technology is more abundant and more cheaper, we're bringing this to individual homeowners.
For our key partners, when manufacturing, we would assemble it in the warehouse before shipping it to the customer. And we would be partnering with the EPA to ensure that we're meeting quality and safety standards for the water. And then we would be working with companies like Supply New England and American Spiral Weld Pipe for all our plumbing and the custom ordered pipes that would be fitting into all the different buildings. And then for the photonic chips, for the sensors, we would be partnering with a company like Mycronic to ensure that we're able to get the manufactured chips for the devices. And then for our costs, we determined that the individual cost of one would be $1,003 to make. And then for the quantity sold, we estimated that we would be able to sell 900,000 units and at a selling price of $1,505 each for a generated revenue of $1.3 billion and then a profit of $450 million.
Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
So I've got two, and they build on each other.
All right.
So one is if you can further explain to us the specifics around the underlying technology and how you came to your cost analysis of $1,003 for each unit. How much of that is related to the hard product, and how much of that is in terms of the process of design and development?
So the majority of the cost comes from the actual photonic chips. So we found that chips that use integrated photonics to detect bacteria and metals are not really have not really been developed yet. So it would be more on the expensive end to develop. So that's why the number is so high, like $1,000. Did that answer your question?
If it's your best answer to give, then answer my question. I do appreciate it. Thank you. That's helpful information.
So the photonic chips and the sensors eat up most of the costs, and then the rest of the cost is broken down into the development of the case and then the manufacturing and shipping of the pipes, which would have to be custom ordered for each individual building, depending on the size of the water main.
And did you guys get an idea from working with Mycronic how long that device would last? Is this a single use? Is it multiple uses? Are there years?
This would,
in the value of what you've identified, how would you sort of market that value?
yes, this would be a device that would last pretty much as long as the pipes in the building. Like, this is something that would continuously be used.
And then to repair it, or it would just require the replacement of those chips and some of the internal mechanisms?
Any repairing, if it was something with the chip, it would be shipped back to the warehouse, and if anything else, it could be repaired, your standard plumbing, so like any standard plumbing equipment.
Excellent, thank you.
Can you talk about the install of the unit? Is this something that your staff, your personnel would go to the commercial building and do? Is it something that facilities people can do at the commercial sites?
If you want to tackle it on your own, you could obviously do that if you're experienced enough. But we're gonna have someone come over and install it for you, since it does go into your main water line that connects up with your water heater. So it might be a pretty difficult job for most people. But if some people want to do it themselves, go for it.
And that install you figured into the cost of your unit?
No, installation will be separate. It'd be like just labor, and that's pretty much it.
I saw that Lowell High School was on there as a potential customer, so I want to thank you for that. If I decide that I want to purchase this item and I get permission from my superintendent to buy it, and then I look at the reading, and the reading says that it is at an unacceptable level, we have tons of lead coming into the school, what are my next steps? Have you started to develop any type of articulation agreements with EPA, city officials, so that if these readings are unacceptably high with whatever the content we look for, lead, for example, what would be a next step?
So with part of the app, you're able to track it, and if different buildings in the area are all getting the same readings that there's too high of a bacteria or a certain metal, they can work with the EPA and the local municipality to attempt to discover where the problem's occurring. If it's something with the main line of the city or the treatment facility, they can look into it and work to remedy the issue.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. This is our pleasure.
It's always tough to go first. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Nice job.
Nice job.
Good job.
Good job.
All right. Next up, I'd like to invite up Team 2, the Percifinder 1616.
Hello, we're Team Mystery Incorporated, and our product is the Percifinder 1616. It's a product meant to stop overfishing. So we took our name from the order of fish, Perciformes, which is an order of bony fish that are typically eaten by us, and then the 1116 comes from all the fish species that are endangered currently. So, according to the World Wildlife Fund, about 29% of the world's fish supply is overfished, and in the past 40 years, about 39% of marine life has decreased. So, some governments are trying to take steps to stop fishing as much, because overfishing is such a problem. So it can cause the ocean food web and ecosystem to sort of collapse. And it's since fish are very important to us as people and the ocean as well, it can really hurt humans as well.
So how exactly is our device going to work? Our device is going to scan the ocean and look for the strength of waves as well as bounce off individual fish using sonar technology. The sonar will kind of see the fish in the ocean and then send that information to the photonic chip inside of the device. The photonic chip will determine the size of the population as well as the positioning of the population and let the computer systems and navigational systems of the commercial fishing boats, it will let them know if an area should become protected or not protected. Protected will mean that there is not a safe amount of fish in this area for the area to be fished, and thus fishing cannot occur there, and not protected meaning that there is a safe amount there and fishing can occur. We're hoping that with our devices, there will be a great amount of information constantly coming in, so that way with the change of the population and with the change of the movement of the fish, it can kind of change whether an area is protected or not protected.
And so for our target audience, we want to target around 2,400 fishing companies and about 4.6 million commercial fishing boats, and then we want to hit around 10% of that, which is around 460,000, and we want to end up having a Percifinder 1616 on every single fishing boat.
And so with the advertisement of our product, we're hoping to take an environmental standpoint and show people that there is kind of a moral thought to the Percifinder 1616 and letting people know that our product is trying to help the environment. And for marketing, we also want to take a business-to-business perspective, and so we're going to be selling them to fishing companies in hopes that they have one on every one of their boats, and that one day, like if they need to replace one, they come back to us.
So basically, this is the CAD model that we designed for our product, and it's around 4 inches in diameter and 3 inches tall. And on the screen right here, pictured, there is an area for the chip to go into, and the little circle at the bottom is where we emit sonar. And in the hemisphere and the cylinder, there are 2 extracted cylinders, which are basically the embedded magnets, so that you can connect the cylinder from the inside of the boat to the hemisphere on the outside of the boat.
Right, and then how much did it cost? So the cost of materials was approximately $4,900, but the cost of one unit was around $9,900, which accounts for the cost of materials, advertisement, and means of production. And then the selling price was around $14,000, which is a profit around $5,000 per unit. And the cost to produce per 460,000 fishing boats, which is 10% of the 4.6 million in the world, was around $4.5 billion, and then this creates revenue of $6.8 billion and a profit of $2.2 billion. Right, and then due to the complexity of our device, it is more efficient to partner with other companies for production. So the less expensive components, such as the magnets, the outer shell, and the installation of wires will be produced in one location, while the photonic chip and sonar emitting device will be produced externally by Infinera and Marine Sonic Technology, respectively. And then lastly, we'll partner with the World Wildlife Fund in terms of awareness regarding marine concerns and advertisement of environmental standpoint. Thank you for this great opportunity.
Hi, so immediately what comes to mind is that there's a conflict with the fishermen on the boats and having this device that could, in essence, tell them that they're going to need to move to another fishing ground because of lack of fish in that area. So have you thought about that? I mean, we can teach fishermen long term that this is a good thing. However, immediately it impacts their income. So have you sort of thought about that, how that's going to impact your business?
So we definitely have thought about that. What we're kind of hoping that the product will do is it will kind of tell you, like, there's not enough fish in this area for it to be safe. And so we're hoping that the areas aren't, like, extremely large. So then that way, if you need to move to a new area, you're not having to move, like, miles and miles away. You might just have to move, like, a couple 100 feet, and then there's a new area kind of sort of thing. We haven't mapped out exactly how big we want these areas to be, but we're hoping that it's not going to be like you have to go miles and miles away from where you already are.
So if a fisherman fishes in the same area over and over and over again and takes too much every time, it's likely that the fish will just sort of die out in that specific area. And so in the long run, it would be, it would be pretty easy to convince the fishermen that they should move. But in the short term, they would also probably catch more fish if they moved to a different place, even slightly to like the left or something.
And in this device, did you folks think at all about sort of whether or not there could be a reporting, can they get some data out of this device that might be able to assist with that in terms of reporting?
Basically, what happens is that the photonic chip is able to process the sonar and display the information on the sonar on like the screen deck, which the fishermen use. And so that gives an image, and we as a company get all of that data, so we see the repeated pattern of like a single customer with that device.
And that's where I'm thinking your opportunity to address Dean Hogan's issue is if there's a reporting structure and there's a partnership with one of the organizations that you've identified here, that might help sort of in this issue about compliance
Yes.
in terms of fishermen, commercial fishermen in areas that may be more in danger.
So, can you explain a little bit more? I'm not a fisherman, and I don't have a lot of experience with fisheries, but I know that the fishermen currently use sonar, and you mentioned a partner that you would be partnering with to use your technology, to incorporate your technology. How is the technology different, and why would they be looking to partner with someone else rather than just creating it themselves?
Alright, so the current sonar technology as of now kind of just tries to calculate land masses and a generalized picture of larger things such as like whales and stuff. But then ours is going to generate populations of fish and determine the size of the population of fish and the amount of fish. So it'll create a clear image, and then we'll return it to the navigation system. And over time, we'll create a database to record the amount of fish populations.
How about the second part of the question? With that amount of revenue generation opportunity, why aren't the current companies doing this? Why would they need your partnership?
So I think the current companies don't have like the motive of solving overfishing. It's just
a lot of, I think 9 of the biggest fishing companies in the U.S. are partnering to try to stop overfishing, but they don't really know how to go about it, and they just sort of want to say, oh, we don't like overfishing, it's bad, just to sort of like, probably just to sort of like, I don't know, appease the public. But this is going to give them an easy way to actually take a step towards stopping it. So, yeah, they won't really have to do much.
My question has to do with kind of the sonar, the idea of overfishing, and if there's do you expect that your device will distinguish between types of fish, species, shellfish, you know, and is it, do you think it's necessary? So it's kind of two-part. Just curious.
So that was one of the things that we were thinking about when we were making this, is will it be able to discern different species? But we realized that a big problem of overfishing is not so much species, but it is like young fish. And so we're hoping that our device will be able to pick out kind of like the age of certain fish, and then in that protected, if there's a large amount of like young fish in that area, it will kind of let you know and kind of go towards that protected to save young fish so then they can grow up and have more fish. So that's kind of what we're focusing on with it, is protecting like young fish rather than individual species.
Thank you.
Can you do me a favor and go back to the price points?
Sure.
So how much would, if I'm a commercial fisherman or if I'm a local fisherman, am I able to have a different brand or option for those who might be a local fisherman, family-owned business, versus those commercial fishermen that sell from the major retailers? Is there a price difference, and are there model size differences based on the size of the boat and the amount of fish that the company catches?
So for what we're hoping with our marketing model is to kind of do a business-to-business sort of transaction. So we're a business and we wanted to go to like large commercial fishing businesses. So we weren't so much targeting small fishing companies and local fishermen, more as we're going for like big commercial fishing companies. So it's not something we haven't really thought about so much as of yet.
Also, it isn't as much small local fishermen as it is larger fishermen that are overfishing, just because small companies can only really catch so much, and larger companies can sort of do what they want, get around the laws.
Also, the size of the product will remain the same for any boat size. I think it relatively is small for each boat, so it will fit, and yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Great work.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
All right, and last but not least, Team 3, which is Gaseek.
Hello, everyone. We are the Lovely Butterflies, and this is our product, Gaseek. So, the problem we chose to tackle is gas leaks in houses. They are far more common than many people think they are, and they can affect anyone in the U.S., like all homeowners. It's not like, how to say it? It's a very big problem that should be taken far more seriously. So there was a study done by the National Fire Protection Association from 2012 to 2016, and there were roughly 125,000 calls that fire departments responded to concerning these gas leaks. And out of that 125,000, around 4,200 of them resulted in fires and/or explosions, and many of them resulted in injuries and even deaths.
So this is how our product will look like. This is a smaller version. As you can see, this part is the top part, the air inlet. This is the side, the speaker grills, and this side, the front part, which is a triangle LED light.
And also to add on, this is also the alarm that will be added to each room that will go off when the gas is detected. So this is the LCD touch display that shows the gas pressure, and it also is connected to a valve that shuts off the gas line when gas is detected by the smaller alarms, as seen previously. There's also an app that notifies the user or the homeowner that there's a gas leak going on.
So how this works is it'll detect the gas, and it'll use electrochemical, catalytic, and infrared sensors. And so for the photonics part, we will have the chips programmed into it, and it'll send notifications to the app to transmit to shut off the valve. So this is a chart comparing our business idea with other businesses. So what makes our product different is that our product is always on and ready to go, and it will alert users through the mobile app. Our product is also connected to the gas line pipes, which will automatically shut off when there's a gas leak occurring.
Okay, so this is our prices. So this is the price of a single alarm, and it can also come in a combo, which includes the hub or the LCD display. So our price for the individual alarm is $70, and for the combo it's $200. In the U.S. Census Bureau in 2021, there is 132 million homes, and our target market is 10% of that, which is 13.2 million. Our total revenue would be $2.6 billion, and our total profit would be $264 million.
So our key partners would be Mycronic for his photonic chip to be able to send all the data to the app itself. We would work with the National Fire Protection Associations to be able to get the regulations and design placement of where should the product be at your house. And lastly, we would work with Ring. They have the security system already built in with the app system, so they're already a good contender to collab with. Ring would help us send out the alert notification to your house, and also allowing you to, from the app, turn off your gas yourself. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Yep.
Could you go back I'd like to see the product. It was one of your earlier slides, the product design. There you go. Thank you. So could you kind of explain the pieces again? I just was a little lost with the pieces.
Okay, so
because you talk about photonics, and I wasn't sure where they are in this.
Okay, so on the top part, this is the air inlet. This is what like detects the gas itself, right? And on the sides are the speakers that it's generally like a fire alarm, right? It alerts the homeowner and the people inside of the house when there's a gas leak detected, which allows them to leave the house. And in the middle, or that triangle right there is like a light.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a light to alert the user again.
Yes.
The photonic chip is in the main component.
Oh yes, the photonic chip is in the main component, the LCD. Can you please go to the next slide?
Yes.
So it's in this one. We programmed it to control, to send signals to the valve to shut off the gas line when there's a leak detected. Yes.
Thank you.
So the cost analysis, you said you're selling them in combo packs, and then the cost, is that also the cost of two? So help me understand these costs versus the profit margin here.
Okay, so for the cost, the $70 is the alarm that's individually being sold. Like say if you have a lot of rooms and you need more alarms for rooms, yes. And the price is 2 alarms and 1 LCD display together. So, well, the $200 one is the 2 alarms and the LCD display together. And I'm sorry, what is your question again?
So break it down. Is it $65 cost and you're making $5 profit when you sell it individually?
Yes.
Or is the cost about the whole combo pack, which would be a significantly higher profit margin? Which is the comparison that I should make?
The combo is going to be our profiter.
Okay.
And the single pack is just like, we want like people to be safe, so we're not gonna like profit off it like the single pack. It's just like a fire alarm and stuff like that.
And we also try to make it as affordable as possible.
So much like a carbon monoxide sort of piece, I
Exactly.
would have to have multiple of these in my house. Based on the sensitivity of the chip and sort of what you designed in here, do you know how many for the size of a house, or how does one make a determination about how many of these units you need to be effective and safe?
So the starter the starter pack, I guess, comes with 2, so you can put them in like the main like biggest rooms in your household, and you can obviously buy more of them, and they will pair to each other with like Bluetooth or like run through the like built into the wiring of the house itself. So we do sell them like we can sell them individually, but it starts off with just 2, so you can put them like in the kitchen where there's like the stove, which can really like cause the gas leak or like cause an explosion itself, or like in the living room where like most people will be, so like for the safety of everyone. Does that help?
Yeah, it does help. And I guess my other question is, and maybe you could tell I've had experience with carbon monoxide. Does that mean there's a battery? Does this get plugged in to somewhere in my house? Is there a battery in it that runs this operation? Does it have to be hardwired, professionally installed, or can I just plug this in the wall myself, or what happens?
Yeah. So the only thing that would like need professionally be installed would be the LCD display. That's the main component going to be in your your gas line, and then the individual one are going to be like a fire alarm. So it's going to take the same batteries as the fire alarm, and take like the years where if it does run a battery, it would make that sound, like the annoying sound that everyone hears, and it would be placed like it's like the sticky substance with the fire alarm.
Thank you.
Can you go to your target market information, please?
Which one was it?
It was the one where we are now.
Oh, the one. This one or the next one?
Yeah. This one.
This one. Sorry.
This is your cost. Am I
Well, our
seeing-
target market is also.
Oh, right
Yeah.
there.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the target market is 10% of the 132 million houses in the U.S.
Okay, and your plan is to go directly to homeowners?
Yes, homeowners. Yes.
Okay. How about builders who are could be building, 400 condos at a time? Can you hardwire the devices and sell directly to builders?
Our plan isn't just for homeowners, it's actually for bigger buildings as well.
Commercial?
Yeah, because of course you won't be able to smell the gas coming from the basement if you're all the way on the top floor, right? So yeah, it could go to builders. Being hardwired though.
So we don't only plan to go to household owners, like putting it in your own house. We can also go to like people that rent them out, such as Airbnbs. The people that own the houses that rent them out, they can put them in for like the safety of their customer or client. And it can also go into larger buildings, such as like possibly like an office, maybe, or possibly even a school later down the road. So like, even if like you aren't home, like let's say we go back to households, if you aren't home and there is a gas leak, it will both send a notification and, if possible, it will send that alert to a fire department and they can check it out. Does that help?
It does, it does. Thank you.
As a homeowner, if I'm going to rent my house or if I'm going to purchase a new house, there's a requirement with the city ordinance to install a smoke detector, working smoke detectors in the appropriate places, and carbon monoxide detectors. Is your device required by municipalities in order to rent or inhabit, or is it at the homeowner's discretion?
It's not currently required, but we hope that later down the road it will be required for the safety of everyone in the United States and possibly even go international.
Yeah, so like we just, so even in the target cost, it's only 10%. So it's like a starting, right? So building off what Wasif said, yeah, it's not currently required. We're not, in the future we do hope so, like, but as of right now it's like a starting procedure, like it's a.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Good
Thank
job. Thank you. Excellent job. All right. So I will give the panelists a little bit of time to fill out their scoring sheets. In the meantime, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and especially the students who have worked so hard over the course of these last 7-ish weeks. And you know, and especially Ms. Pederson, who let me come into her class and take over, and really, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better partner. I know I said that earlier, but I need to reiterate that. With that being said, I would advise, if I could get some help, I would pass out the certificates while they're doing the scoring sheets. Megan, do you mind coming up? Thank you. All right, if I can have you all come up one at a time. Yeah.
So.
Aryan.
Aryan. And Maegen.
Megan.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Maybe
we're gonna have
stay
a-
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
group
picture, yes,
right?
stay up for
Okay.
the picture.
Yeah. And Vishwa. And Kyle. Thank you. And Amelia. Thank you. And Kevin. Thank you. And Alex. Thank you. And Jonathan. Thank you. And Lauren. Thank you. And Victoria. Thank you. And Rose. Thank you. And Wasif. Thank you. And Joseph.
We squeeze it over here. Come down this way.
Samuel. Thank you. And Sokrath.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Ethan. Thank you.
right, congratulations to all of you. Great job.
Y'all did an excellent job, every single one of you. So one last question for all of you. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
We appreciated your participation. We appreciated seeing all of your work. So thanks you all for doing such an incredible job. Proud of you as your superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that sentiment. I'm very proud of you all. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much. Nice job. Thank you so much for providing these types of opportunities for our youngsters. Good job. Excellent job. We appreciate it all. Good job.
Right.
That was Pederson.
Thank you again. Thank you, panelists.
Good job.